Allum Bokhari is the senior tech correspondent at Breitbart News and is an amazing voice on tech and the warnings on tech. I really honestly thank God that Allum Bokhari is alive and reporting, because too many people are closing their eyes to the things that big tech are doing. Allum, welcome to the program. I got an email this morning at 3 o'clock from somebody who's senior in one of the companies that your article mentions. And the subject line was something like, if Hitler had this technology, ... And then I open it up, I see your article, and he said, if this is happening, there is no place to hide. He's in one of these companies. He knows about this. Tell the American people what Microsoft did yesterday.
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for having me on. This is a really frightening story. So Microsoft has teamed up with Adobe, which is another big software company, and Intel, which manufactures the majority of central processing units worldwide, to create something called the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. And this is a coalition that they form with media companies. The goal of this coalition is to establish a point of origin for every type of digital content that appears online. So if you take a photo, they want to know exactly who's taken that photo, who's edited that photo, and have all that information available once it hits the internet. And the goal, they say, is to be able to establish the authenticity of information, to establish that it's not a deep fake or misinformation. But this is like an incredibly, think of how this technology can be misused, identifying absolutely everyone, absolutely every point of origin. Adobe said in the predecessor organization to this that this is going to be opt-in technology, but we don't know how long it's going to be for, and Microsoft won't even answer if it's going to be opt-in or not.
So let me just go through this, because it's going to be painted as a really good thing. But let me see first if I understand it. Microsoft has Word, Paint, Notebook, Edge, the Office suite. So if you create a document or a JPEG, Microsoft is involved, and they will be able to say, let's say I send a Word document out, and a bunch of people work on that Word doc, and then I take it and I release it online. Everyone who touched that Word document will be identified?
If this technology is enabled, yes. And the crucial question that Microsoft isn't answering, and I reached out to them before the article about this, is can you switch that off? Adobe, at least when they were working on a similar thing before this coalition was created, said, yes, you can turn it off. Yes, this will be opt-in and opt-out. Obviously, it doesn't erase all concerns, but at a bare minimum, you have to be able to say you can switch this technology off. Microsoft hasn't answered my question about that.
Okay, so then you have Adobe. That's Photoshop, Illustrator, Acrobat, Premiere Pro. They are the leader in photos, videos, and also documents. And then there's TruePic, a company that has developed technology to track the provenance of photos from the very moment they are captured on a smartphone. So if I take a picture, it will not only tell which camera and who owns that, but it will also embed the exact location, correct?
That's exactly right, and Adobe admitted that in one of their press releases. They said you'll be able to see who took a photo, where, when, and with which device. So it gives you all the information if you turn this on.
Okay, so they're saying they're doing this because we have to have trusted sources. So
exactly.
Let's first look at the good side of this. Let's say everybody lives in this, utopia where there are no bad people doing anything nefarious. Why would this be good?
So in the way they're selling this to the public, they're working with media companies, mainstream media companies like the BBC and the Canadian CBC. They're saying, we've got a world where there are deep fakes, where you can't distinguish between authentic information and non-authentic information. And, there was that clip of, the Tom Cruise deep fake that went viral last week. People can see this happening. So they're saying, well, if we can establish the origin of all information, we can see what's fake and what isn't, what's coming from so-called trusted sources and what isn't. And that would be great if we actually trusted anyone to determine what a trusted source is.
Correct.
And a lot of these organizations, these tech companies, over the past 4 years, you know this, Glenn, they've been labeling, anything they dislike as misinformation, anything
Correct.
they dislike as conspiracy theories, as non-authentic, as untrustworthy.
So now tell me what it means today. If this was imposed and we're looking for trusted sources, tell me what it would mean today to companies like Breitbart or The Blaze, my show, your stories. What would this mean?
Well, here's the issue. If their whole purpose is to sort misinformation and disinformation, trusted from non-trusted, and everything that's created on a computer has these signals, these point of origin signals attached to it, then that will allow social media companies like Facebook and Google to very easily write algorithms to say, well, if it has this signal attached to it saying it comes from an untrustworthy source, comes from a source known for so-called disinformation, we're going to suppress it. It's going to make censorship happen from the moment content appears online. Essentially, that's
and so it's kind of it's kind of the opposite, where you had the Pentagon Papers taken out and then photocopied and then released. It would be kind of the opposite, because if you released it now on your servers, like Drudge did with Monica Lewinsky, it would be banned through these algorithms. So you would have to do the opposite. You'd actually have to get the information and then upload it on a trusted source computer so it would beat the algorithm. But even then, if it came from you, it would have your marking on the thumb drive, right?
Yep, and that's just one of the ways in which it could be misused. I mean, think of how authoritarian regimes would love to get their hands on this kind of technology to identify exactly where everything came from. Now, credit to Adobe, they did actually note this as a concern, but Microsoft hasn't. So there are many, many ways in which this technology can be misused. They're selling this as this great necessary thing, but you and I can see where this sort of thing can easily go.